All right, so welcome to Microsoft Word. And before we get started here, I just want you guys to pay attention here. What we're looking at right now, when you start a new document, you always have the option to start a blank document here. But do keep in mind that Microsoft does have several different templates you can use. So if you plan out exactly what you're going to do, what you're looking for, you'll actually be able to save a lot of time by searching through the templates and seeing if there's already a good starting point for you to achieve whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So for example, here you see restaurant brochure. What do we have at the top? You have different types of resumes, table of contents. So if you have this stuff in mind ahead of time, including a calendar, check out the templates first and see if you can find a good starting point, because you can always modify those templates so you're not stuck in the design that it has there, but it does give you a really good starting point. And again, that's going to help you work more efficiently, help you get straight to the point there. Another thing, if you have an internet connection, you can search here for templates. So say, let's try calendar, for example. Once you type in whatever it is that you're looking for the template, it's going to connect online and let you know what type of templates are available. Again, you're not stuck with the design of the template, but find a template that's going to help you get moving and help you have a general idea of what you're trying to do. And then you can modify, change the colors, whatever it is that you need to do at a later time, okay? So for this Microsoft Word starting course here, we're going to start with the blank document. Now, I want you to keep in mind here, you're going to hear me talk about it a lot. I'm going to emphasize it a lot because it's very important. This area up here is called a ribbon. This is pretty much just your graphical toolbar, is your toolbox. I call it the kitchen. The reason why I call it the kitchen is because these are all your ingredients, right? So think about a kitchen. If you need to create something in the kitchen, whatever it is you need to do in the kitchen, you need to know where things are. That's going to help you become more efficient in your job. It's going to help you recognize exactly what tools you need, what it takes to get the job done. If you go in the kitchen to go cook and you don't know where the pots and pans are, you're going to have a horrible time. So keep in mind, this is like your kitchen. You need to know where everything is and what everything does. Now, the first part of the toolbar, remember, toolbar, toolbox, whatever helps you remember, is just where all your tools are. Okay, if we go into the file menu, this area here is called the Backstage View. So think of this as like, this is like the maintenance room. This is where you get to do a few extra things, a few advanced features. Go into your options when you need to open a new file or start a new file, save as, which I'll explain some differences between those two for you. Nowadays, a lot of people prefer that you send in a PDF, and people are going crazy trying to figure out how to turn their document into a PDF. There you go, right here in the Backstage View, you can save your document as a PDF. So here we can go back. The next tab here is where you usually start, is called the Home tab. Now in your Home tab, this is where you're going to find most of the commonly used items that you have when you start. For instance, the clipboard section or group, the font group, the paragraph group, and then the styles group. And we're going to go into more detail about what each one of these groups are. The next section is going to be the insert group or the insert tab. Now the insert tab is going to help you, when you need to insert different types of objects into your document. So just by taking a quick glance here, inserting something into it. What do you need to insert? A cover page? There's a button for it. You need to insert a new blank page because you kept typing. You have a new blank page. You need to insert a page break so that your document stays lined up. You have that here. Pictures, smart art, charts, all of the stuff that you see people doing is nothing advanced. They just know where to find this stuff. And that's going to be something that you want to carry throughout the rest of your life. Intelligence isn't going to be defined by how much you remember. It's going to be defined by your ability to find the information when necessary. Now, the next tab here is going to be design. Now, this is, this is geared more towards a professional work. But, if you do need to do something that's a little bit more creative, maybe a paper for school or something like that, your design tab is going to help you set all of this stuff up. Again, you have these pre-made templates that you can play with to get you started. And if you need to change the colors, there's color schemes and palettes for you to start out with. Say if you're going to make brochures or flyers, you can go in here and play with the different fonts. There's a lot of things you can do. And the great thing about this is that you can set up a color scheme and then save it as an actual preset for yourself to use at a later time. And here you can see the watermark. You can change the page color. You can see that here. if you want to put borders on there for some reason. And we're going to go into some more of these intermediate functions there that you can use. But for now, we just want to make sure you're familiar with the basic layout of the program. The next section is going to be the layout section. Now here is where you're going to be able to play with your margins. Again, the normal margins, you'll probably use that most often. However, if you do come across that one situation or whatever that you need to change the margins for whatever reason, there you go, the layout section. Check out your margins, see which one fits for the job that you need done. You also have the orientation. And again, that's going to be just like with your smartphone. You need portrait orientation or landscape orientation. Depending on the type of document you have, there you go. You don't have to do anything crazy. You go into the layout tab, find exactly the type of orientation you'll need and select it. You have your page size. You can play with the different columns. You want to make like a magazine style, brochure. This is where you set it up. Pick your columns. And this is the page setup group. And like I said, we're going to cover what this section is, the paragraphs and the arrangement and all that. Arrangement is pretty cool. It's something a lot of people don't seem to understand. But if you're in the graphic design, then you know all about the arrangements. And we'll still cover it anyway, just for those who don't know. The next tab is going to be your references tab. Now in the references tab, again, you want to keep this in mind, especially if you're still in school, if you're in college, high school, whatever, and you're writing papers. You want to know how to insert your own table of contents. Right? Already laid out for you. All you have to do is fill in the blank. Here, you'll be able to update that table of contents when necessary. If you need to put in your citations, your bibliography, you have something already there for you. If you need APA or MLA, just click it. And look, you even have the Chicago style. All of this is already here. You pick, usually they stay up to date, but you can pick the style of your citations, works cited page, again, your bibliography. All of that stuff's already there for you. So just remember where things are. The next tab is going to be in mailings. A lot of people won't really use this unless you're in the administrative sector or clerical type thing, where you can set up pretty much a default for your envelopes, for your labels. The start mail merge is something we'll cover more in advanced topics, because that's something you can use with information out of Excel. So there's a lot of really cool things you can actually do with the mailings group. And we'll go over that. But for now, we're going to try to keep it to the basics so that we don't get anyone lost. The next tab is going to be the review tab. Now, in the review tab, everyone should know about this. If you don't go to the review tab, I don't even want to bother reading anything you wrote. Now, in your review tab, here, spelling and grammar. Do a spell check. You need to find synonyms. There's a thesaurus. You need to see how many words are there. There's your word count. Another place for your word count is going to be down here at the bottom left. You see that? This is going to tell you what page of how many pages you have in your document. And then you also have the amount of words in your document. So keep an eye on this, and I'm going to make sure that we bring it back to this here, because these are important to keep an eye on here. But just remember, your review tab, think about from your professor or teacher's perspective. They're going to review your information. So you want to be able to make sure before you submit a paper or a document that you go and review it. Another good reason why you want to know the review tab is because you have a translator and you have languages. So if you're in a business, or if you're in some sort of environment where you need to help people who speak other languages more fluently than English, say English is their second language, you can go through here and pick language preferences, including language packs, to have that information to be, I want to say, as correct as possible so that they can understand it if you're going to communicate with them in their native language. The next tab is going to be the View tab. Now, the View tab is also important because you want to make sure that whatever it is the document is that you're writing, you want to make sure people can view it properly. So with that, just to give you quick examples here, we have the print layout, which is the default layout that you always start in Microsoft Word. That's so you can get in here and edit and play with text. You have the read mode, and with read mode, that's something that's going to be in read only. And that means exactly what it says. The only thing you can do is read from that mode. Now, if you feel like you're stuck in that mode and you can't get out of it, oh my God, what do I do? Down here at the bottom right, just hover over it and you can see what these are. So right now it's showing we're in read mode. We can go back to print layout, and then we can go to web layout. Web layout is just going to give you more of like a web page feel. It's going to be a little bit larger. Again, you'll use that after you've created your document. So for now, we're going to stick to the print layout because we're going to do some editing and some examples. Now, a couple of other things that you want to know about the ribbon components. Those basics that we just covered, Those are things you want to know for sure. But some of the newer things that Microsoft has put in, you have things like your find and all that good stuff. My new favorite thing is this tell me what you want to do. You see this here at the top with the little light bulb? If you click that, that's more like an advanced find. So with the way that tell me what you want to do works, you type in exactly what you're trying to do, and what it'll do is search for different functions or tools that you're most likely looking for. So if you can see here where it says try spell and grammar check. So if I type here, let's see, color. So instead of just giving me normal generic help topics, it's bringing up border colors. Do I want to play with page colors? Do I want to play with font colors, themes and colors, text highlight? So you can put in things like that and it'll actually bring up the tools for you. So it's a really great feature to remember. It's always at the top of the program, and it's going to be the same way whether you're using Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. Don't forget about that tell me what you want to do feature. Up here at the top, you'll have your account, which I'm just not signed into my my Microsoft account. But with this is where you can sign into your Microsoft account. Yeah, so I need to sign in, and it'll actually help you sync your documents and sync your profile. So that's another thing you want to make sure you have. If you have that little exclamation there, that means you're not signed in or there's some sort of error. All you have to do is click on your profile and get in and go sign into your account or switch your accounts or whatever you need to do. The share button, hey man, if you have a smart device, you should know all about sharing. You click the share button, you can save it to your cloud if you have that. Like for Microsoft, they use the OneDrive, which is going to be the same exact concept as like Google Drive, or if you use, I think what iCloud is what Apple uses, same exact thing, just different companies. Now, if this ribbon is in your way and you say you want more real estate space so you can see more, you want a better view of your document, this little caret here, and that's what it's called, caret. It's not spelled like carrot the vegetable, so don't do that. But you can click that and that will actually hide the ribbon for you. And then when you click on the tab, it'll bring the ribbon down. When you click off the tab, it automatically removes it for you. So again, if you're one of those people where you don't like clutter in the way, that's something that can help you. If you need to bring it back, you just click on any tab and go over here to the little pin. See where it says pin the ribbon? So you can hit Control F1. That's another good thing. It always shows you a shortcut, or you just click the little pin and now it's pinned back on there. You click wherever you want and keep it moving. And when you see those, like I said, hover over some of these things so you can read what they say. These are called your tool tips or screen tips. Just if you're curious about it, hover over it. And then you'll have a nice little description there. If you need the description to stay on the screen, just hover your mouse over the description and the description will stay there so that you can read it and figure out what it is and make sure it's something you need to use. And again, that works with everything. So here, the format painter is something I'm going to show you how to use. A lot of people aren't sure what that little paintbrush is, so I'm going to make sure you know what that is. But if you want to know how it works, you hover over it, you'll get that screen tip, and then you can read through it and see exactly how it works. Again, I'm going to show you some examples so that way it sticks a little bit better once you see it visually. Another thing that you want to keep in mind, you see these little squares down here? Most people have absolutely no idea what those are. Those are called Dialog Box Launchers. What do? They launch a dialog box. Crazy, right? So what that is you click on that and it'll give you expanded options for your, for that particular group. So right now we're playing with the clipboard group. If I click that Dialog Launcher, it's going to show me different things I have in my clipboard. And then you can go into the options here and play with different, like the show the clipboard automatically if you need to. And we're going to cover that. I just want you to see some of the basics. Here I can go into a font. Say I want to do something a little bit more advanced and just clicking all, any of these options here. You can click the Dialog's launch box and there you go. You can go down here, play with different types of fonts. If you have fonts installed, if you want it bold, italic, you play with what's called a formatting. And then here you also have different effects and more options to use with your fonts. So we'll cover that as well. A couple of other tools to keep in mind, like I said, pay attention to these little status bars down here at the bottom. You have them on pretty much any program you use. All you got to do is pay attention. So like I said, this here is going to tell you which page you're currently on or viewing out of the total amount of pages you have. This is going to let you know how many words are on your page. And I give you an example of that. So right now we have 0 words, right? This is important if you're in school. This helped me out so much when the teacher said, well, you need to turn in, a 5-page report or 5-page case study, and it needs to have a minimum of 1,200 words, not including your citations. So that's a good way to see where you are. And it's going to let you know how many words you have, how many pages you have, how many characters, paragraphs, how many lines. So to give you an example of that, 0 words, right? So I'm going to show you a little trick here. And I'll show you a few different tricks, but I'm going to do this for right now. What I'm typing in right now is lorem, open and then close parentheses. It's just a quick function to add in some junk text. Oh, see, I forgot. You need to hit equal, L-O-R-E-M, lorem. If you know lorem Epson graphic designers and coders, then you already know what this is. Open and close parentheses, you hit enter, and it gives you a bunch of dummy text to play with. Now, this here, 86 words. It tells me exactly how many words I have there, how many pages I have. So again, pay attention to this down here. The other part over here to the right, remember, these were the different view modes. So if we go into read mode now, it's going to read like an ebook. If we have more pages, it'll show more, and I'll show you that later. If we go back to the default view, which is the print layout, that's where we can edit things. You can't edit in the read mode. Then you have the web layout, and again, it's going to give it to you in a larger format, and it's going to scroll up and down more like a web page. Here you can edit things. So if you can see that when I double click on something, you can edit things in that mode. Another thing that you want to make sure you know about here, you have the scroll, so you can zoom in and zoom out. Depending on your vision, if you ate your carrots as a kid, you shouldn't have any problems. Another thing you can do when you want to scroll, and this works on web pages and pretty much anything dealing with a computer, you hold the control key and scroll with your mouse up and down. See, I scroll down, it zooms out. I scroll up, it zooms in. You can use that for your web pages. Teach your grandmother how to do that so she can actually read the stuff she's looking at on Facebook. Just remember that. Hold control, use your mouse wheel or your touchpad scrolling to the right. Scroll up to zoom in, scroll down to zoom out. So now that we covered that, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hold control and I'm going to hit F. Okay, so holding control and pressing F is pretty much the find function. This here, same thing, control F. You can also do that on web pages. You hold control, hit F, you'll get a little dialog box. It's not going to be as pretty as this one. It's going to be small, simple, succinct, so you can find exactly what you're looking for. So when I hit control F, here I'm going to close it out again. I'm going to hold control, hit F, and that brings up the find. So just remember, control F is find, and I'll have a different document online so you can see, just some shortcuts you should definitely know. Now with this, I'm going to type in lorem because that's what I started this off with. And it's going to find every instance of that word lorem that I put in this document here. And it highlights it for you. So remember that. Control F, that's going to bring up find. But here it's going to be called the navigation pane. And what is it doing? It's letting you navigate through your document. You can check through headings. You can check through various pages. We only have one page for now. So obviously it's only going to show us lorem on one page. What's another word here? Then don't get confused with this text. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's just a bunch of random. Some people said it's Latin. I never looked it up. But I think it's just some random dummy text that doesn't really mean anything. But here, I put in this word here and it found every instance of that. If you go to results, it's going to tell you here. It only found one result for that word. The same way we did with lorem, it found 2 results for it. So remember, control F. F is in find, okay? All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you here is going to be on the way you create and save documents in Word. So a shortcut, another one, hold control, hit S, right? And that automatically brings up this save as. Now, here's the difference. If I go to just save, you see how this stuff is in this document? If I go to, and you can do the same thing by going to file. So control S is the shortcut, control S, or you can just hit file because this is going to bring you back to the Backstage View, or if it makes you more comfortable, say the main view, you can go to save. If I hit save, what it's going to do is save the document just like it is. It's not going to give you any options. Hey, you're done. I'm going to save it as is. You can name it. So here, let's show you here. I'm going to go to save. Let's put this on the desktop. I don't know why my computer is running so slow today. I've been playing too many video games and streaming. So, okay, we'll leave it at that name, the lorem ipsum. Easy to find. We'll save it there. And you see it has the Word document. And you have all of these different types that you can save it as, the reason why you have that, that's going to be as the save as. Now I'm going to show you the difference. So now we just hit save. So we're going to save this document, right? So now it's saved. Now it's a document we can get back to. If I take all of this information, and what I'm doing here is Control A. So remember, Control A is all. It's going to select all. Okay. So click off. Control A is all. I'm going to hit Control C to copy all. And you can see the clipboard lit up down here to show me the item that was copied. And I'm going to teach you guys all this stuff. And I'm going to hit Control V to paste. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Now, if I go here and I hit save, that's it. It's just saying, okay, you added something new to it. We're going to save this updated version. But if I wanted it to save as a different file type or a different structure, I can't just hit Control S. Because now I'm hitting Control S and it's not doing anything except saving it as is, no changes. It's not changing anything. It's, hey, this is what the document is. You added more text. We're going to save it with more text. But if I want to save this as a PDF, hitting Control S is not going to do it for me. So I need to go to File, and I'm going to go to Save As. Where do I want to save it? Okay, so let's say I want to save it back here to the desktop, just like before. It already has the file name in there, so I'll pull all this stuff out. Yeah, you have to excuse my desktop. I've been working on so much stuff. But here, I can check these items, the Save As type. So the reason why I want you to remember that, so remember if you're sending a document in, and a lot of businesses are starting to request that you send it in PDF format, and they want you to send it in PDF because they don't want it to be modified. If you send a Word document to me and I open it in Word, I can modify your Word document unless you know how to use the protection, and we'll cover that in a later video. But you send it as a PDF so that way it can't be edited. You know, say if you send in a resume and it's your ex-girlfriend who's working HR, she's probably going to change some stuff on your resume and you might not like why you didn't get the job. So again, say if I want to save it as a PDF, I can click PDF and it's going to save it as a PDF file type. And now that I've picked that, you can see where it shows my PDF files. So another option there, you have XPS, which is Microsoft's built-in style of a PDF. Portable document format, again, is just like a PDF. It's going to save it as an electronic version of it. And we're going to cover that again when we start talking about the printing of Microsoft Word documents, because there's a lot of times where you can save stuff that you use the print function, but it's printing the document as an electronic document, not printing as in a physical ink and paper thing. And we'll get into that some more. But XPS, say if we need to save it as that, that's another option. If you're working with someone who has maybe an enterprise where they're using the old version of Microsoft Word 97 to 2003, you can save it in that version here. I'm sorry, that was the template here in this version that will be compatible for their older versions of Microsoft Word. So again, if somebody says, oh yeah, well, I need you to send me a copy of this, but we have Microsoft Word 2003, then you can set it to the Microsoft Word 2003. And you can see the difference in the file extension here, the .doc versus the normal one where it'll be like a .docx. So like here, .docx. So keep that in mind. You want to use save as if you need to change the file type, or if it needs to go, you know, again, to change the format. You hit save or Control S to save it as is with whatever updates you have. So hopefully that makes sense for you. If you have any questions, you can definitely leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to get to you on that. Now we've already talked about new documents. So here, let's get rid of this. Let's go to File. I'm going to go to Close. You can go back to File. You can hit New. And we're going to start with another blank document here. Now remember, this is called the Backstage View. And I'm going to show you some things with this in a later video so you can change the title. If you need to tag it, if you need to add comments for whoever you're sending it to, you want them to know some special things about it, you can add that type of information there. So here, I'm going to hit New again. And just remember, you have your blank documents and you have your templates. Your templates are going to be a very, very great starting point for you. It'll save you a lot of time. And just in case you're not 100% familiar on the formatting of a certain document, that'll help you get right to work, okay? All right, and before we move along, I'm just gonna go back into the Backstage View or the File menu. And here, I want you to be comfortable going through all of these things. You have your print options. We already talked about save, where it's going to save the document as is, or save as if you need to save it as a different format. Next, you have print. When you click print, this is going to give you all your printer options. Here, I might have set the PDF or something that I was doing there, but you can pick the printers that you have, or print to PDF, which is going to be the Microsoft XPS kind of thing, the document writer, and you can print it as an electronic file. Most computers will be able to read that anyway, so you can't really go wrong with an XPS or a PDF. Just make sure whoever you're sending it to that they're okay with that. The next one you have here is share, which again, that's going to be very great because people use a lot of smartphones and different devices. The sharing concepts are still the same. Where do you want to share? Do you want to send it and share it online? Do you want to send it to your blog? And yes, you can blog directly from your Microsoft Word program. I'm not going to go into how you set that up just yet. I'll do it later, but you can actually, if you're into blogging, get on Microsoft Word, start typing in your blog. You'll have to set up your blog account and to whatever service you're hosted with. And you can go ahead and start typing and say whatever you need to say and then hit post the blog, and you can send your information straight to your blog. So that's a really, really cool feature to have. You have here, save to cloud. Should be self-explanatory. Save a copy of it on the cloud. So if you need to access it from a different location, if you need to go ahead and send it to an email or share it with people, you'll click share with people, find your contacts, share the document. Export. What do you need to do? Export is almost like the printout thing. If you want to export it to a PDF, you have that option there. Don't go paying all of this crazy money for some ridiculous program to convert it. Microsoft Word does it right there for you. I believe the mobile version actually does it for you also. Create PDF XPS document. Again, right there, just how do you want to export it? And then the self-explanatory there, change the file type. So we don't want to save it as a Word document. We can click change file type and then look, save as. What file type do we want? Rich text format, and I'll explain that. Plain text, which means it's not going to have any formatting, no nothing. It's just going to be letters, alphanumeric characters, no special stuff. We need to save it for an old version of Word. We need to save it for a new version of Word. Open document text, a template. So again, you can create certain things and then save them as templates so you don't have to repeat the same work. If you're going to, say, make flyers for your kids' birthday parties, okay, we'll just save a template. Oh, okay, well, my brother's going to create a flyer for his kid's birthday party. Hey, here's a template. All you do is change the name of the birthday boy, and voila, there you go. And then, of course, you have close, which is going to close the current document that you have. And it's always going to ask you if you want to save, don't save, or hit cancel because you didn't mean to close it. So remember, the file menu, you're going to have all of this different stuff here. You can also go into your account so you can check your documents, or if you need to activate your Microsoft Office, or if you need to play with your Office background, look, you can play with all of this stuff. You can see, if you see at the top right, see how it changes up there. It's not like anything fancy, but it is some cool little doodles to kind of customize your program interface. The theme, you want it colorful, dark gray. Usually I have the dark gray one, but for some reason it was on colorful, which means a kid has been playing with my computer. But dark gray. Feedback, if you need to contact Microsoft, something works great for you, you want to give them a good review. Something you don't like, then you send your frowny face or send a suggestion, something like that. So remember, these companies listen to you because we're the customers and we kind of help keep them in business. So they listen. Send in a suggestion if you have one. And finally, you're going to have your options. Now, don't go crazy playing with all kind of stuff in your options. Make sure you know what things are. Again, you can hover over them to get a quick description of what they are. And then that way you can see if it's something you need or something you don't need, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here I'm in the general tab where I'm starting. This is playing with the same options we just talked about. You want to mess around with the little background. You want to mess around with the color of the program. You have this, the collapse the ribbon automatically, where I showed you can pin it or let it collapse when you're not using it. Here you have your display. So you have these type of the tab characters if you want it to show anytime it shows a tab, which I'm going to show you a quicker way to do that. If you want it to show when there's unnecessary spaces or additional spaces, your printing options, you have your proofing options. If you want it, look, ignore words in uppercase. Maybe I don't want it to do that. Just in case I hit the caps lock and didn't pay attention. You have all of those different things. You have autocorrect options. Again, if you play around with your phone keyboard, you're going to have those same exact options. Tell it to autocorrect as you type, tell it to not autocorrect, tell it to, when you type in a certain word, put it in this way. It gives you that for math. You have that auto format as you type, and just go through these options and see which options will help you work faster and better in Microsoft Word. All right, the next option here, you're going to have the different save options. Save file in this format. So if you know you're going to be sending it to a lot of people dealing with them that are using the older version of Microsoft Word, you can have it by default to send it or save your documents always in one of the older formats. Or if you don't want them, say you use Microsoft Word, but you don't want to always save it with Word, you just want to save it in just plain text, you can have it always save your documents that way. So this is where you can set up your different defaults. So definitely get through there, kind of browse through your different options there, see what works for you. Again, if you're going to play with stuff with different languages, if you're going to speak and communicate with people in different languages, get in there, add in some language packs. Make sure that the languages are showing up the right way. The best example I can think of is like Spanish. A lot of Latino cultures, the Spanish is completely different. I learned Spanish in high school. My teacher was Mexican. Most of my friends are like Puerto Rican and Cuban, and they don't understand a damn thing I'm saying. So you want to use this kind of stuff to help make sure you're communicating properly. Again, add in those different languages, especially for people who have English as a second language and they're still learning. You want to try to be as helpful as you can because it's really effortless for you to do so. You have the ease of access, and we'll cover a little bit more of that, but that's just going to be for people that have difficulty working with programs. If you want it to always show the tool tips or, have a larger view or something like that, you want to play with the ease of access. Then when you get into advanced, check out the options you have here. Like this, use control click to follow hyperlinks. A lot of times that's on by default because you don't want to accidentally click on the link and it take you somewhere that you don't want to be. And you can put links and that kind of stuff in your documents, but you want to make sure that if you're going to check out a link, you're putting in some sort of effort to go and do that. So by holding control and clicking, then you'll go to the link. If you just click it, nothing's going to happen. You'll have a few different options here that you can play with. Your cut, copy, and paste options. This is showing you what it's going to do by default. If you don't like those options, you can click it and change it. You want to always keep text only, just in case, I don't want their colors and styles and all of that. You can have it to keep text only, and then you change the format in as you please. You have the same options with your images, with your charts, the different content in the document. So get in here, understand what some of these are. Honestly, right out of the box, most of Microsoft Word is going to be set up for you to get ready and use right away. But after a while of playing with the program, there are some features and changes that you might want to have. To customize the ribbon, here we're going to go back into this later about how you can customize the ribbon. But you have this here, popular commands. This is what everybody uses, bullets, blah, 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 cut, copy, paste, delete, fit to one window, fit to one page. That's why it's called popular commands. So here you have all commands. And with this, you can see everything that's available there. All you have to do is scroll through them, find the commands or shortcuts that you know you're going to use most often. And you click it to highlight it, and then you hit add, and it'll add it to your ribbon. So that way, that's how you customize your ribbon. Again, you can hit these little plus signs here to expand it, and you can see what other options are there. So right now I'm looking at the view. What do I have in view? We'll expand it, and I can see views, page movement, zoom, all of that stuff. Macros, we'll talk about that also. So let's say SharePoint. Let's say I don't use SharePoint and I don't want that on my ribbon. You can highlight it here, remove it. But go through here and see what options, what commands, what functions and features that you feel like you might want to use a lot, and add them to your ribbon. And then that way they're there when you want to use them. Let's see, let me make sure. Your quick access toolbar. This section here is again for quick common things that you're going to use. Right now I have save, undo, redo, spelling and grammar, shrink to one page, highlight color. So those are options I use a lot. Your quick access toolbar is this little toolbar up here. And if you've been using computers for a while, you always saw that little floppy disk, the save icon. That's always where your quick access toolbar is. Like this arrow here to go back means undo. And then this little curved arrow is to redo. Oh, I didn't mean to undo that. Let me redo it. So that's your quick access toolbar. These are just quick functions that you know you're going to use. If you feel like it's something that you know you're going to use a lot, again, instead of going to popular commands, you can hit all commands. And once this loads up here, it'll refresh. And then now you can see all the commands that you can add to your quick access toolbar. So let's say if I'm going to use all caps for some wild, crazy reason, highlight it, click add, and it's going to add the ability to use all caps to my quick access toolbar. Add-ins you might not really use a lot depending on the type of work you'll end up doing, or where you may want to take your office skills, but you do have the ability to add in different things. There's different add-ons that you can put into Microsoft Word. Just again, it's going to be based on what you're doing, like the communication add-ins, the comm add-ins. You have Word add-ins, you have different templates. There's so many different things you can add into Microsoft Word. Again, if you're going to be using mainly Microsoft Word, you want to be familiar with the type of options and abilities that you'll have. The Trust Center, this is pretty much your security center. And this is, if you click on Trust Center settings, you can let Microsoft or let Word know what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. One thing that, and I think this didn't start until the last couple of installations of Office, but they have like the macro settings. Macros are recorded actions. So like I did say, we will talk about it later, but you can record things that you do, like, oh, I'm going to type this and then delete it. You can record that. And when people run that macro, it's automation. It's going to type in whatever it is, and then it's going to delete it. So those are recorded or automated actions. The reason why the macros are usually disable all with notification, your macros are disabled because you don't want to open a document from the internet and then it automatically starts doing stuff you didn't intend for it to do, or you weren't sure it was going to do. So a lot of times if you get a document that you didn't create yourself, it's going to ask you if you want to, make that, take it out of compatibility mode so that it can be edited. And it's just a security thing. Again, you don't want to send grandma, some document and then it just starts taking over her computer. That's not cool. So keep in mind that the Trust Center, go through all of these trusted publishers. Again, just be familiar with it. The reason why, it's not that you need to know and memorize all this stuff, but if you do run into any kind of problems, you need to know where to look. Okay? All right, so that is it for the Backstage View. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at here is just editing documents and text selection techniques. All right, so with the text selection techniques, those are just a couple of different things that you can do if you need to manipulate your text, you need to move things around, just to understand what exactly is going on here. So let's zoom in here. Just holding control and scrolling with the mouse wheel. So if I want just lorem, right, I can double click lorem and then I can right click it and see what options I have for just lorem. I don't want to mess with anything else. So let's say I want to turn lorem to a different color. Let's go with that little sea foam or whatever that color is. So I can change just that and not change everything. And all that is, again, you're just double clicking that one word. Or you can click and drag. So right now I click and I'm still holding down the left mouse button, not letting go. And you can see how I can find exactly where I want to put, my cursor. Where do I want to stop? So maybe I want to stop here, but I don't want to change the rest of that. So let's go and change that. So now you can see exactly what changed based on where I stopped dragging. Now the next one, again, double clicking just that, or you click and drag. So if I just want to change the C and I want to make it bigger or smaller by accident, but if I want to make it bigger, all I'm going to change is just that C, or I can make it smaller. But if I want the whole word, just double click somewhere in the word and it'll highlight the entire word for you. And let's play with the whole word and change the formatting here. This, the A with the up caret and then the A with the down caret, make the text bigger, make the text smaller. Or you can go here where you have the numerical values, make them all a size 12, make it all a size 26. Again, just if you want to play with things, the reason why you should know that, so say if you do want to do the magazine style, I think it's called a drop cap, and I just want to make this L big, I can go here and change it. Or if I don't like that, you can always go down here, play with it a little. You're not too sure, so you can try to jump incrementally instead of taking huge jumps in the format size. Or well, no, it's not necessarily the weight. Well, yeah, I guess so. Now, the other thing you can do, so remember, click and drag to where you want to format text, double click to select the entire word, or you triple click and that selects the entire paragraph, right? So say this first paragraph, because we have a period there, triple click, now we can play with this whole paragraph. This little A up here, again, you hover over it, it says clear all formatting. That's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to clear all the formatting, which means all the colors, the size, everything goes back to default. So that's all that does. If I want to change this entire paragraph to blue, triple click it so that I select the entire paragraph, click on the color of the font that I want. And there you go. You just change that entire paragraph to that color. We're going to triple click this paragraph and change it to a different color. Oh, that's ugly. Purple. All right. But within this paragraph, I just want to change just this word. So you just double click just that word and let's change that to green. So remember, double click to select just one word, triple click to select the entire paragraph the word is in, or click where you want to start, hold the mouse button and drag to where you want to finish. We can drag all the way, or we can drag here, or we can drag to a certain character. Again, multiple different ways to play around with your text. Now, if you Control A is going to select all, and then I can change all of the text. Maybe the boss doesn't want that color. Maybe she doesn't like that formatting. Let's start over. Hit the A with the little pink eraser like the old pencils. Takes all the formatting off. Now, another thing that you can do, and this is another control trick. Let's say I want to do, let's say we want to select a couple different things. So let's say we want to select lorem, but we don't want to select ipsum. We want lorem to be blue, and we want dollar or dollar, whatever, however that's pronounced, to be blue. So if you click and drag, you're going to have to catch anything that's in between. If you double click lorem, that's all you're going to get is lorem. If you double click dollar, you're going to only get dollar. So a way to do that, again, you hold control, the control button, double click lorem, and then I'm going to go over here while still holding control, double click dollar. Now you see how I was able to highlight both of those, but without getting ipsum in the middle. Now I can go up here and change the color of just those two. And again, whatever pulvinar, you're going to hold control. Let's go with libero. Let's go down here to laurite. Let's go down to here to non-numbing. I like that non-numbing. I'm going to start calling my snacks that. Man, let me get some non-nummies. But you hold control to select things that are not adjacent or right next to one another. You need to go through and pick some other things. Hold control, double click what you're trying to select, and then you can change just those things that you selected. Now I'm going to hit Control A and I'm going to hit Control X to cut everything out of the document, right? So I'm going to put everything back, but what I'm going to do is hit Control V, and then you'll have this little thing pop up again. Now remember, this is the mini toolbar. Up here, you have your quick access bar, and then this is pretty much the regular toolbar, but you're gonna have your quick access bar, the mini toolbar. This is where you can come in, and we're gonna set it to have just the text only. Now, when you double click a word, this is the normal toolbar, or you triple click and select the entire paragraph, you get this same toolbar. So with this is just a quick jump of this stuff up here. I can get in here and change the colors of these real quick. Of course, you can go into more colors if you need to. I can change the size of them real quick. I can change the style. I can bold, italicize, underline. When I highlight that, again, this didn't change the color of the text. This is just highlighting so that it stands out. So remember, when you double click or have something selected, you'll get this mini toolbar up so that you can quickly do something that you can also find here in the ribbon up top. So let's go Control A, clear all the formatting, and with the highlighter, let's go to no color, and that gets rid of the highlighter. The highlighter is the only thing I believe that doesn't go away just from the formatting, because it's almost like a separate layer on there. So it doesn't necessarily change the formatting of the text. It's just like an overlay to say, you know, there's some emphasis on this text here. And a couple of other techniques you can use as far as text selection. Say we want lorem to be the beginning of this sentence. So I'm going to double click lorem, click and drag. See how you see the little black bar there, and you see how I have that little square underneath my my mouse cursor? You can click and drag lorem to where you want it to be. So here, let's put it back. So I'm going to double click it to highlight it. Then I'm going to click and drag to where I want it to be. And it'll set it there. And again, it's highlighted, so that's why you get the mini toolbar that shows up to say, well, you know, do you want to change any of the formatting on it? Another thing you can do, remember I showed you control, double click it, hold control, double click the other word or values that you want to select them without getting everything in between. Okay, and another thing that you can do, you can put your cursor where you want to start, right? So remember, starting and ending points. So I want to start here with lorem, and I want to select everything all the way down here to TELUS. You can click and drag, right? Or you can start there, just click one time and put the cursor there, you'll see it blinking. Hold the shift key and then click where you want to end. And you'll see it'll stop. It'll select everything between your starting and ending point. So I'll show you that again, and we'll start from a different place. We're going to start here and we want to end here. So I'm going to hold shift and then click here, and it picks everything from my starting point to my ending point. And if you need to be able to see what you're doing, you can always double click where you want to start, hold shift anyway, click to where you want to end. All right. And this is, again, just click and drag, the normal thing, click and then drag. And then once you let go, that's your selection. Or click at a starting point, hold shift, click an ending point. And just like when we move lorem, if we want to move all of this text, you click it one more time. Don't double click or anything like that. Just click it one time while it's highlighted. Click and hold the left mouse button, and you'll have this little selection here. And now we can move this around. If we want this to be the beginning, all I got to do is let go of the mouse button, and now that is the beginning of our text instead of lorem, which we'll highlight so we know where it's at. All right, and now I'll show you a couple of quick shortcuts before we jump on to the next section here. So let's say we have all of this, right? We hit Control A to select all. I can hit Control C to copy. Let's go down to a blank spot, Control V to paste it, right? Paste it the same exact information there. I can hit Control A and then hit Control X to cut it, which means I want to remove it from where it is completely, not take a copy of it, but remove it all. So now there's nothing there, and you can see that here, 0 words. And we went over the paste options. You can right click. Remember, right click is going to be your friend, so always remember to use that right click. We can right click. We have our paste options here. With these, you don't have to select anything yet. That's the good thing about that. You can hover over the different options and see which one works for you. Do we want to keep just the text? Do we want to keep the formatting? Let's go with just the text. We don't want any of the colors, any of that craziness. We're going to keep just the text. So now you can see there's another way for you to paste your information. Now, let's say I didn't want to do that. Let's say when I hit Control X and I cut it, I wanted that information gone and I didn't want it to come back. I can hit Control Z or Z, depending on where you are in the world. Control Z will undo things. Control Z is the shortcut to this. You highlight over this, the undo arrow. What does it say? Control Z to undo. Say, you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. I do want that. I'm going to hold Control Y. Like, why did you undo it in the first place? So Control Y will redo whatever you just undid. And here, go hover over that arrow, repeat paste option. So it's saying, well, let's repeat whatever you just undid. And that's that works a lot in a few different programs, and we'll have a separate video with some helpful hints and shortcuts, but just understand that that's how that works. So real quick, we're going to go over shortcuts. Control A, select everything. Control C to copy it. I'm going to hit delete because I have everything copied. Control V to paste it. V as in Victor. Control A, select all. Control X, exit out completely. That means get rid of it. I want it off of there. But then if you change your mind and you want to put it back, you can hit Control Z to undo whatever that last move was, or hit Control Y to redo whatever that last move was. Control S to save the document, and then option, or you do have the option to go to save as if you want to change the document type, but just to generic, just save it, save whatever updates I have, Control S. All right, and to go ahead and wrap up the first video of our Microsoft Word series. The last thing I'm going to go over are like just preview and printing documents. So here, let's go hit equal, lorem, open close parentheses, get some dummy text in there. I think if you put a number here, let me see, if you put a number in there, I think you can say how many lines you want. So let's go, let's do like 5, close parentheses, and then it'll give you 5 lines of text. It's some dumb trick I learned in school, so I figured I'd share it with you. But if we're gonna look at the preview and print options, again, you can hit Control P. That's gonna be a shortcut for printing. So remember Control P for print, or go to File and go to Print. What we're in right now is called a print preview. Again, you want to make sure when you're sending documents or printing documents that you're trying to be as proper as possible with this. You wouldn't believe how much criticism you can get over grammatical errors or mechanical errors or the inability to print proper documents. So with this here, you can just hit print and it's going to go to your default printer, or you select the printer you have. If you're on a network, say in an office or something, or you have a wireless printer, then you just go to add printer and it'll bring up a little dialog box here. And what that'll do is it'll open up your settings menu and allow you to actually, select your printer or add new printers or something like that. So if you don't see the printer that you normally use here, just go to add printer and find a printer that you have. So with this, you can see the different settings here where you have like this. Oh, that's my coffee maker. It is coffee time. Yeah, boy, bro. All right, so you can go print all pages if you want that to happen. Here, you click that menu and you can go print just this current page, or you can go to custom print and print specific pages or a range of pages. If you have 10 pages and you only want to print pages 1 through 7, you can go into custom print and tell it to print only pages 1 through 7. Print one-sided, and most cases that's exactly what you're going to have, unless you're in maybe an enterprise or some side of office or something like that, where you have a printer that's capable of printing double-sided. And with correlated, what that is here, like you see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all of that. If you go down to uncorrelated, the correlated is going to print page 1, page 2, page 3, page 1, page 2, page 3. If you go to uncorrelated, that means it's going to print all the page 1s first, depending on how many copies. So say if we had 5 copies, it's going to print 5 copies of page 1 first, and then 5 copies of page 2, and then 5 copies of page 3. By default, you're going to be at correlated is going to print 5 copies, page 1, 2, 3, and then page 1, 2, 3 again, then page 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. So if you ever need to use that, just understand what that means. A lot of people don't understand what it is or how it's used. That's how you use it. So remember, correlated is going to print 5 copies in order, 1, 2, 3, and then start printing copy number 2, 1, 2, 3, and then start printing copy number 3, 1, 2, 3. Uncorrelated is going to print copy 1, all page 1s, and then it's going to print all page 2s, and then it'll print all page 3s, and then it'll go to copy number 2, print all page 1s, all page 2s, and so on. So just remember what that is. By default, it's going to be on correlated because that's what most people use. Again, you'll have the orientation options, just like your phone. You need it in portrait orientation to read it in that vertical stance, or is it going to be something like a spreadsheet or some sort of diagram you want it in landscape orientation so that you have it where it's more horizontal than vertical. So just remember that little option that you have there. The letter, again, when you get to this, by default it's at letter because that's what we all use, especially here in the US. I'm not sure about everywhere else, but by default we all use that 8.5 by 11 letterhead. So that is going to be your default option. But if for whatever reason you have something different, you can go into that option and change it. If it's going to be for a legal size letter, for a statement, the executive summary, something like that. You have A3, A4. Those are for people who are more into like print. Like they go through these things. You most likely won't use any of these unless you're in the printing industry. But these are settings specific for people who are in the printing industry. They print periodicals, articles, things like that. They use that kind of stuff. You do have the option for more paper sizes. So if for whatever reason you need to try different paper sizes, you have different things that you can play with. If you need to play with something and customize it, then you can actually customize the size you need. The next one, you have your normal margins. If you have some document that the margins need to change, if you can see here, we're set on normal, and you can see there's pretty much even spacing all the way across. The margins are going to be bottom, top, left, and right. So what you can do here, if you need to have narrow margins, maybe you want more space for whatever you're trying to fit in your document, and you don't necessarily need the normal 1-inch margins, you can always reduce them, and you can always widen them if you need, mirror the margins, however you need to. You can always play with your margins. And don't forget, and I'll show you again here in page layout, you can customize the margin sizes if you need to. And then you also have this 1 page per sheet, 2 pages per sheet. So if you're printing something like a magazine style and you want to have like 2 different things, almost like columns, or say if you have a document and you just want to put like 4 different versions of text, like say page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, but you can fit them all on 1 page and they can just be, they'll look like little small paragraphs and whatnot. Then you can do things like this and it'll print that full page, but in little sections for you. So that's another cool thing to know how to use if you're going to be playing with brochures or anything like that. And real quick, we'll go here, page layout. You have your indentation here, your columns. Again, if you want to play with 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, however many columns you want to play with, if you want to add some stylized formatting to your document. You have your page size. This again is all the same stuff that's in the print. So you don't even have to mess with the toolbar or the ribbon up here. You can always change that in the print preview. And you have your margins. So again, if you know right off the bat how you need it to be done, you can go in here or hit custom margins and customize the size of your margins if you feel like you need to do that. But again, I'm going to hit Control P for print. And that's going to bring up the print preview. Again, your print preview is going to let you know exactly what the document is going to look like once it's printed on paper. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. You might have runoff sentences or, you know, your fall off or something like that. And I'll explain some of those things to you guys later. But you want to make sure that all your text fits nice and neat on your document. You want the readability to be there. So go into your print preview, understand what it's going to look like before you print it. If you have multiple pages, it's going to show you multiple pages. And then of course you can also zoom in and out if you need to check out more things there. And again, that's the print preview. You can hit escape to cancel out of that menu, and that'll bring you back to our document. All right, well, that is video 1 to start off our series in Microsoft Word. The next video is going to be about formatting text, you know, just helping you play with text. I kind of gave you a quick overview. We're going to go into a couple of other details of things that you can do as far as formatting your text and, you know, playing with paragraphs and things like that. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is Dathan, the Brown Llama from the Winkin Gentleman Society. And yes, we are the same group that has the gaming thing. Again, we're just doing something to help people learn a little bit more about some of the programs. You know, hopefully these skills will help you out in a job or again, just writing some basic documents. But we definitely feel that people should know how to use these programs a little bit more efficiently. And that is the goal here. So again, thanks for tuning in. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, check out our gaming channel if you're into games and all that good stuff. And definitely feel free to leave us some feedback down in the comments and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.